Oh, Yossi looking fresh in the background there.
Where are we?
Oh, yeah.
Where are we here? Where are we? What daf? Good Gimel? Midas Rachmin?
Tikkun Adikna.
You did this last year?
David Melech is
Roel Chai Vekayam Vekayashmi Hayaya
David Melech is
Roel Chai Vekayam Yaakov Avinu Lo Meis Pegu Gashmi Maras Hamachpelah.
Ariel, get it together, Mom.
I got my here, but you did Gimel.
Daf Yud Gimel. Tomorrow, Site the Daf Yud Gimel. Site the 13a.
Yeah.
If there's not enough, share along with you. Read along with your friends.
Yeah, but wait, what's the name? Lamed? Which book?
Site that. There may be a couple in there. Yeah, Nadar and Nazir Site that they're grouped together. Just often. They're often placed together.
Use this one, Daniel. It's in English. Page 13A. 13A.
So there's a Mishnah. So this week's parsha we talk about Vayechi, and it talks about when Yaakov passes away, and then they go to bury him, right? And he makes Yosef promise him, don't bury me here in Mitzrayim with all the stupid zimov they have. They're going to turn me into a mummy and this and that, and it's in the ground, and they're going to be Havkinim later on when one of the plagues. I don't want bring me back there to Yisrael, bury me there in Yisrael Maras Machpelah in Hebron. Right? So Yosef swears, and then they go and they bury him. And
13A. Yud Gimel.
the Mishnah, the Gemara is, thank God bless Gemara, they have a way to go off on beautiful, wonderful tangents. If it weren't for those tangents, Gemara would be a lot more, I don't want to say boring, but. So the Mishnah on Daf Tezama base discusses. It discusses kind of like Mida Keneged Mida. If you do something what's that? So it doesn't Nadar.
Yeah.
You gotta go to
I got it.
Is there any more Gemara's?
I think I took as many as I could. 1, 2, 3. There was an English one around. So here, Moshe, come sit by me. You guys can share. If it's not enough to share, I don't know very long. Donnie, am I waiting for you?
Proof is that he asked
All right.
which you don't do to people who are and I saw this in the Sikha of the
Alright, they're alive, we get it.
We just gotta go out in the world and be the best that we can be. I gotta be the best Dave I can be.
They're not going to ask.
They're not going to ask me, what did this guy's do in your class? Did they hear him? No, they're not going to ask me that at all.
The last guy.
They're not going to ask me. Yeah, unfortunately. That would be great.
Wait, there's no test. What?
There's one
You're saying that you have no power over
Where's the test of us here?
So the Mishnah that this Gemara talks about is going on. Talks about things that happen Mida Keneged Mida. That you act in a certain way, and you get rewarded or the consequences in a like manner. So it and when for the negative things, it's in the likewise manner, but for the positive things, it happens in even a greater manner. So it says that Yosef was zeichet that Yaakov asked him to go bury him and make sure he buried him, and of course. He didn't just bury himself; all the brothers went up with him, and officers from Egypt, and there was an entourage, And since Yosef made the effort, was involved primarily in burying Yaakov, so he himself, when he went was going to be buried, brought back there to be buried. By the Exodus, yeah. So just as Yosef was. It was a covet for Yaakov that the Yosef of all the brothers. He was like the viceroy. He was like the prime minister in Egypt. So who was involved in burying him? None other than Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe was the one that was primarily involved with burying Yosef as Mida Keneged Mida, because he did something great and made sure that Yaakov was buried in the most honorable fashion. He was buried by the most possible honorable person at that time, was Moshe. No greater person to bury than Moshe Rabbeinu. And then, since Moshe was involved in burying Yosef, who would be the best person to bury Moshe? Hashem himself. So Hashem himself buries Moshe, which is 100 bucks. So that's the Mishnah goes to
Moshe Leimeis, it says.
Moshe Leimeis. Yaakov Avinu Leimeis. It says for Daf Yud Aleph, just like he was there standing and serving, he's still standing and serving now. So the Mishnah, now we get into the Gemara Daf Yud Gimel and Aleph, top of the page, right out there. You see there's two dots there, right when the wide lines begin to start. Second line of the wide lines, Yosef Zach, right? Yosef was Zach to bury Yaakov, so he was Zach that Moshe Rabbeinu buried him. So now the pasuk says the Chumash relates that when they went up to bury him, that when they went up to bury him, I'll just say it's on. It's right there. It says, "Vayal Yosef l'gbaris Abba." Yosef went up to bury his father. Vayal Luitoi, and who went up with him? Kol Avdei Pare Ziknei Beisei, all the servants of Pare, the elders of his house, and all the elders of Eretz Mitzrayim. So it was a big royal entourage. But Yosef was first. In other words, they were kind of reluctantly and begrudgingly following along. And then all the house of Yosef and his brothers.
The other, yeah.
Even except and then later the next one says, but they did the children and the cattle they left behind. They didn't have to take that up with them. And then there was a great. And they came to Gayin Ha'atad, which is literally called the threshing floor of the thorns. And there was a big big eulogy for him, and they grieved over there. And then. They buried Moshe Rabbeinu, and then it says, when on the way back, it says that the brothers first and the servants first. So on the way back, it says that the servants were or rather the servants of Pari, all the officers, the royal entourage, led him. Okay, and we're going to see why what happened. So this is the story. This is very topical. Of course, this week's parsha. That's what we're going to learn now. Now, sometimes you hear about things in the Rashi points out a little bit here or there, but you don't know you don't get a chance to read it fully inside from the source. And this is it. Gimel Omanal. Here we go. Yosef Zach. Ma'ishna Mikra Dechtiv. What do we learn out here? In the beginning, it says Vayal Yosef Gbaris Aviv. Vayal say Kol Avdei Pare the Gemara. In the beginning, Yosef went up to bury his father, and they went up with him all the servants of Pari. And then later, it says, V'chol beis Yosef echav v'beis Aviv. And then it says, and afterwards, it was all the house of Yosef and his brothers, and all the people from his father's house. So Ma'ashna lives safe. Where were we? We're citing Yigimel and out. Right over here. That's good. Here, you give it. Right? Okay. The Ma'ashna. So what's the teaching that when it says in the end? It says Vayeshev Yosef Sav Hu Ve'echav V'Hadar V'Chol Eilam Yitzei L'Kvar Esav. And then later on it says that all the people that went up to bear with him. So Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan says like this. Rabbi Yechanan is from Yechanan and Rish Lakish. He was one of the first generation of Amoraim. That's the first generation of the Gemara authors. You have the Mishnah first, the Tanaim, and then Amoraim. Yechanan was the first generation of Amoraim. He lived in Eretz Yisrael. He actually met Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and learned by him when he was 15. And he was somewhat of a student. Primarily he was a student of Rav, who was the greater and older student of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who was the first generation of Amayah. Okay, so Rabbi Yechanan says this thing. Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Lost my place. Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Betchila ad shleiro b'chveidin sheyisrael lo nogo ben kovit. In the beginning, until he didn't see the honor that was given to Yaakov, they didn't They didn't give the honor. They didn't act in a respectful way. Right? They went up begrudgingly to talk about all the servants of Potiphar, all the Egyptian officers that went up with him. And in the end, when they saw the honor given to him, then they acted honorably to him on the way back. Like it says, they came to what's called the threshing floor of the thorns. So Rashi says, I'm sorry. So then the Gemara says, "Do you have is there do they thresh thorns? In other words, do they harvest them and thresh them out like they do with wheat? It's thorns. You don't have to thresh thorns." So Ravo says, "Malamid." This comes to teach us that all the kings that you have the kind of little I don't know, it's city states kind of that were in Canaan at the time, and each one had their own king. And when they came, when Yosef and brothers came up to bury Yaakov, and they saw the big entourage, they thought, okay, well, let's go to war against these guys. But when they saw Yaakov, when they came there, they saw the crown of Yosef on Yaakov's coffin, and they all took off their crowns and put a surrounding on Yaakov's coffin, like the way thorns, like they would put up thorns as a protective fence against something. So, like they surrounded it with crowns, the way the thorns are something surround a threshing hole to protect it. That's what it's saying.
All the brothers had crowns?
Not the brothers. The all these kings in Canaan.
Oh, they came to the funeral.
They came to greet them. Initially, they came to war, but then they caught a glimpse of they had a spiritual insight because of Yaakov.
Oh, the crowns.
So they put their crowns all around the coffin of Yaakov. They surrounded Yaakov's coffin with their crowns, the way thorns surround a thresher. So what happened? Shabal b'nei Esav, u'b'nei Yishmael, b'nei Keturah. All the children of Esav, the sons of Esav and sons of Yishmael and the sons of Keturah. Keturah was Avram's second wife. They came and they put all their crowns around. Tana. So what is it? We learned in the Brayta. Kulam the Mechamabo. Initially, they all came to wage war against them. They said, the Jews are coming. The Yaakov and the sons are coming up. Let's go fight against them because Esav and Yishmael, they had a little grudges against Yaakov and his sons. But when they saw the crown of Yosef. Joseph is the viceroy of Egypt. Like he's very famous at that point, right? He's like the second in command of Egypt. Like he's the Pharaoh. He's number 2. When they see his crown on Yaakov's coffin, they're all of a sudden struck. They're awestruck, and they have a moment of realization. And like I said, they had the bill was lifted. They had a spiritual insight
Of Kesser?
perhaps of even a primus of Kesser of At. So they all came out of, and they initially came to war, and then they had this. They were struck by the vision of Yosef's crown, the great Yosef, who was the viceroy of Egypt. They put that his crown is on Yaakov's coffin, so they all take off their crowns and they say, we're not going to war. We have to give this respect, and we have to participate in the eulogy and in the grieving and in the burial in a proper, respectful way. So they put all the crowns. They all took off their own crowns and put them on the coffin of Jacob as well.
What does the Maharsha say about this?
We'll find out.
Incident?
He discussed the thing. He doesn't say it's particularly about the crown. But what happens? So we learned that Shloshim v'shisha ksarim natu v'arein shel Yaakov. At the end, there were 36 crowns surrounding and placed on the coffin of Yaakov, which has to do with the 36 is the total of the kings that were there from Bnei Esav, from Esav and Yishmael and Keturah, from all the descendants of them, those kings from these tribes, of those people. And then the pasuk says, "V'yispadu sham mispad gadol." that they eulogize, they grieve there, a very big, great grieving. Great and heavy. It was very grieving. Tana, what do we learn here? That even the horses and the donkeys were grieving of them. And the Mefarshim say, what does it mean, the horses and the donkeys? So some Mefarshim want to say that has to go with Susim and Chamayrim are like a low level, you have humans and then you have animals. So the people that are on the lowest level, even donkeys, in their behavior, and they're culturally and spiritually, they're on the level of donkeys. That even them had this realization that they were uplifted in a sense. They had a spiritual uplifting and realization that they too were be able to mourn for Yaakov and see how great it was. Another Mefarshim say that the Susim and the Chamarim, once Yaakov passed away, when Yaakov came to Egypt, after the brothers say, yeah, Yosef's alive, let's go back. So that was in the second year of the famine. That Paro's dream said it was supposed to be a 7-year famine. When Yaakov came, that famine ended. They were able to start growing produce again. So Yaakov's presence was a big miracle to the area, and it stopped the actual famine that was the decree. Once Yaakov passes away, the famine restarts again, so that even the animals are suffering because there's not enough food for them. So that's the one of the first to say that when it says Susul Chamarim, we're suffering, we're mourning because of the lack of food now at that point. If you look at the Marsha, Afilu Susim, the Marsha says, I'll tell you. So we're Mispagad the comment. I feel even the horses, etc. This expression, the way it uses it's alluding to the greatness, both quantitatively and qualitatively, of the eulogy and the grieving that was going on that happened. The Darshu came, Sha'asa came Lichvait. So they learn out that was added to the honor of Yaakov, how people respected him, how they appreciated him. And now the Marshal says, in his times, the Marshal lived approximately 1555 to 1631. So he says in his days, when there's a funeral, a process for royalty, when they do like a funeral procession for kings and officers, they dress up even the horses in all black as a sign of mourning, and they make them as if even them are crying, because from the braying and the neighing of the donkeys and the horses, it's like they're adding to like the moaning and the groaning, of the grieving. So the Mashal is something interesting. That how are the Susim and the Chamarim also mourning? There was the Hesed was so great that even the horses and the donkeys were mourning. So we have a couple of different explanations, and one of them is that how they mourning, what kind of mourning were they doing? That they dressed them up in black as the way they would do at the times of the Marshal, when they went for kings and officers, any royalty kind of thing, would when they would have a funeral procession from, they would dress up even the horses that were going along there in all black. That's part of it.
What else does the Marsha say anything about the Ksar?
About the Ksarim, he just says the count. How it could be like Rashi's count of where the 36 come from. Yeah, it doesn't go into like the Marsha is one of the he's printed as his parish is one of the most respected Purushim outside, that's what do we say, extra canonical, like outside of the external. Yeah, you have the Rashi, you have the Rishonim, and the Acharayim. He's kind of like the first generation of Acharayim. What's called, we have Rishonim and Acharayim, and the Acharayim. And they say his mother was a cousin of the Maral of Prague. The Maral of Prague, who we all know from the Golem story. So he was, he was that type of, he had a good head, he had a good cup. He was a very, very, very insightful, intelligent, he had Ruach HaKodesh. And so his Marsha is one of his Pirush is one of the more, often printed ones in the back of the Gemara. You have the Rosh, who goes halachically, like explains how when you need to find like the halacha, what the Gemara is saying, what the psak will be, and the Marsha has chedushim and halachis and about the agadas. When the stories are told, sometimes you get into stories in the Gemara, like we hear it now. It's not talking about halachas. So he has chedushim on those stories as well. All right, so that's from Meshach. Just a little inside information. A little okay. So then they surround with all the crowns, and everyone is involved in the big hesped, in the big grieving. Now, what happens next? They get to Ma'aras HaMachpelah. That's in Hebron, right? The cave of the patriarchs. They get there to bury Yaakov. Everybody got it? We're back into the Gemara. You're right here. The line starts Kiva. See this? Kiva Shegil. They get to Ma'aras HaMachpelah, and then also Esav. Esav comes now.
Over there.
Esav's still alive. And he comes down and he wants to be an obstacle here. He wants to prevent Yaakov from being buried. You remember this story? Here you go. He's swinging for the fences.
Right there. Start up. Who was it? Don? Was it Don?
We're gonna chutz.
Spoiler alert.
Armalahan.
Oh, sorry. Got ahead.
He says to them, "Hey, Mamre kirs abra hi chevrein Mamre." The fields of Mamre, Kiryat Arba, the town, the four, which is a Chevron. But Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, why are they called Kiryat Arba? Why are they called Kiryat Arba? The town of the four. Because of Arba Zukar Sayu, because there were 4 pairs buried there. Adam and Chava, right? Adam and Eve. Avram Basara, Yitzchak and Rivka. And then the 4th pair is Yaakov and Leah. That's what they call it, the Kiryat Arba, the place of the 4, because of the 4 pictures there. Esav says, we split up, we both inherited as a birthright to be buried here. You'll get one, and we would be the pair. You'll get one, and I'll get the other, the remaining pair, Yaakov and Esav. So you buried Leah in your spot. So I should get the other spot. Not for you to be buried in that spot. You gave Leah your spot. The other spot belongs to me.
Should have married her.
Yeah, he wanted to.
Yeah.
That's why she was crying for all those years. She thought she was going to marry him. But hide the fire she did. So you buried Leah in your spot, and the leftover one, that's for me. Amr Leah, they said back to him, Esav, Zavinta, you sold it for a bowl of lentils, man. You don't remember? Some good lentils. I've made, I've made lentil soup that a person would sell their birthright, their birthright. Tell me that lentil soup, something you don't mess with that stuff is good.
Can I get the recipe?
Oh yes, sir. Armalo says so. He says back to them. He's going. They're giving big cheshbainis now are going on. They're trying to discuss it with him logically. You sold it. He says, Zavini b'chirusa. I sold my right for the firstborn for double portions. But Pshituse, Mizabini, my regular right as a son, I didn't sell. Fine, I don't get a double portion of anything, but I get an individual portion as a son, as my normal inheritance. That I didn't sell. Amrulay, so they say back to him, yes, you did sell your regular portion, even. Not only your firstborn portion, you sold your regular portion. Dichtiv, as it says, B'kivrei asher karisili, the grave that you sold me. And karisi lashon of selling. V'amar Rabbi Yechanan, Rishum ben Yehotzadek, Yechanan Rishum Tzadek, ain't kira asher mechira. Kira is a lashon of mechira, of selling. So he said that your portion, all your inheritance you sold away. Shekain b'karkayam, because he says that there's certain places by the sea, certain areas geographically where they have different accents and different colloquialisms, and they in those areas they say when they say mechira, they carry the mechira kira. They call it kira, like they shorten it. That's their accent. What? Kira, Kira is also but here it's a shortened version of mechira. That's what they say. So Kira is a lashon of mechira. So that's the pasuk says. There's a proof that you sold him your whole inheritance. So Esav thought, oh yeah? Hopefully Igerta. Bring me the contract. Igeris, from Lashon Igerta to Lashon Igeris, the letter. Bring me that document that says that I sold it to you. I want to see the bill of sale. Amalei say, you kidding? Igerta, but out of the Messiah, that stuff that's files back in Egypt. We're not we're going back to Egypt. Uman Nizil, who's going to go back there and get it? Nizil Naphtali, the son of Naphtali. All of Yaakov's sons are there, obviously, to bury him. Naphtali will go back to Egypt and get it. Because what does it say about Naphtali?
He was as fast as a deer.
Swift as a deer. The Kalil Kialta, they swift as a deer. We say that the Yehuda ben Tema says, be swift as a deer, bold as a leopard, light as an eagle to do the service of Hashem. So Naphtali was swift as a deer. So he's going to go run back to Egypt and get the document and come back. And to show him to Esav. So Esav is really causing hassles now. He's causing a big roadblock. He's stonewalling. The colleague says the Chsiv Naphtali is Ayala Shlucha nice and Imri Shepherd. He's a deer that's sent, and he brings Imri Shepherd. Pleasing sayings. He brings good, nice speech, nice sayings. He brings good tidings. And Ravo says, when you read this pasuk, Imri Shefer, articulate Imri Shefer. Don't read it Imri Shefer, the good tidings. Imri Sefer, but the sayings of the Sefer, of the book. In other words, of the inscribed stuff, i.e., this bill of sale. So Naphtali is going to go get the document that says that Esav sold his inheritance, even the caver, his right to the burial plot in Mar Samachmela. He sold that also to Yaakov. Now, as this is going on, Chushim, B'nei Dedan, Tama, Hava. Chushim, the son of Dan, was over there. V'yakirin udnei, and he was hard of hearing. He was deaf. V'yakirin udnei, the udnei in Aramaic. Sometimes you can read. Want to figure out a word. The Dalet and the Zion are interchangeable. So this would be read as in Hebrew uzna. So that's why it says udnei. I think it's uzna. So he's hard of hearing. Interestingly enough, what is chushim? Senses. He senses when a person suffers in one sense of theirs, the other ones are heightened beyond normal capacity. Baruch Hashem, people have regular sight and vision and hearing, like they have average. But if someone loses their hearing, it's hard, they can't hear. Their other senses are heightened. Someone's hard, they can't see. Their other senses are heightened, like their hearing is better, or their different things are better. The sensations that they have are compensate for the loss in one, so that they're actually greater in the other senses than a person with regular hearing and regular vision. So with that, so you will learn this out from the Chushim. That is, even though he was deaf, his other Takar is very, very sensitive and had above average abilities in some of his other senses. So Chushim is there. He doesn't hear the whole logical answer him back. He has a bill of sale. No, you showed it, and it didn't sell. They have a document. He's there. He's like, what's going on? Amr lahu. He said to them, my hi, what's going on here? How come we're not burying him yet? For Amr lay, so they tell him, they signed him, whatever. Kama akev hai ad asi naftali. This one, the Esav is blocking it. He's interfering. He's being an obstacle. He's preventing the burial until Naphtali comes back from Egypt with the document. Amr lahu Chushim says to them, until Naphtali comes back from Egypt, Avi Abba, my grandfather, is lying here in just a disrespectful way. The carpet should be sitting here in the heat. We're going to wait for Naphtali to come back. This is a bizayin. It's completely disrespectful, completely intolerable. I don't have any tolerance for this.
Appalling?
What's that?
Appalling?
This is appalling. Yes, sir. This is absolutely appalling. So shaka kulpa. He grabs a stick. Mechaya arisha. He grabs a 9-iron or 3-wood from the bag, and mechaya arisha, and he smacks Esav on the head with it. He takes a stick and whacks Esav in the back of the head. The Esav's eyes pop out from this blow and land by the feet of Yaakov. The feet, the legs, the thighs. At that moment,
It's just his
he smacks in the back of his head and his eye pop out and land on the feet, roll on the feet of
I
Yaakov.
thought his head was chopped off.
His head fell off.
I thought it's called
You
head.
said right now his eyes popped
Just
out.
his eyes.
During,
His eyes?
during the blow, his eyes fell out of his head. His head fell off.
Eyes popped out of their sockets. Exactly. This is the Rashi. What does it say? So the eyes fall out to roll onto by the legs of Yaakov. And then what happens then? At that moment, Piskinu Yaakov, then Yaakov, who's lying there in the coffin, his eyes open up. And he smiles. What? Yaakov opens his eyes, flutter up, looks down, he says, gets a big smile over his face. Behind the Steve. And that's what it means when it's written. It says, Yismach Tzadik Kichaza Nakam Ba'amav Yechaz B'dam Arasha. Rejoice, be happy, all righteous ones, when you will see the revenge taken, that the legs will be washed in the blood of the wicked. In other words, when divine justice occurs, the righteous have a chance to rejoice because it gets people to realize that there is such a thing as that God. There is a God. Esav is thriving for years. So active. He's a completely wicked person. He's thoroughly wicked for the most part. He's involved in all sorts of bad wrongdoings, and he's thriving. So people are going to say, "Where is divine justice? What the righteous should suffer and the wicked should prosper." What is this? God tells us, do the commandments, be good to me, follow my ways, and it'll be good for you. That's not what we do. We do it because we want to fulfill the will of God. We don't do it for the reward. But it ultimately says this world, society, civilization is based on, God bless you, reward and consequences. It's a child. If you do good things, you're going to be. You'll gravitate towards the good because you see that there's positive outcomes for you in your life, and you'll take away from the bad because you have negative outcomes for your life. But if you look out in the world and you see people doing bad and you see them thriving, you say, what's going on here? So finally, when justice is served,